Mayor Castro, I must tell you, there aren't too many Castros I like. But I do like you and the congressman, so look forward to working with you as the subcommittee chair on housing. You know, as you and I had an opportunity to discuss, New Jersey faced the worst natural disaster in its history, and thousands of lives were affected, and many are still affected. If confirmed, you'd have an important role of administering and overseeing approximately $15 billion in community development block grant disaster relief funding that was appropriated by the Sandy Emergency Relief Act, which I fought to pass. I'm glad to see that we've deviated from an original attempt to spend $2 billion of that money on a national resiliency competition. It's now to about $1 billion, and New Jersey is going to be eligible for that competition, which originally we were told we were not. So we're moving in the right direction. But there's a lot still to be done. Many people are hurting in our state and in the region. So I'd like to invite you to join me on a tour of New Jersey to see both the work that's been done, but more importantly, see the work that has not been done and is that left still to achieve a full recovery and rebuild stronger. So could I get your commitment as you moved upon confirmation to visit with us in New Jersey, especially as the National Resiliency Competition is going to take place, to inform you of what the challenges we have?
Thank you very much for that question, Senator Menendez, and I enjoyed our visit yesterday and want to commend you as well for your very strong and effective advocacy for folks who have been impacted by Superstorm Sandy. Of course, I would appreciate the opportunity to understand these issues even better by visiting New Jersey.
Now, the state has some very well publicized issues with administering CDBG grants in this context, particularly with contractors and the approval process. As HUD awaits New Jersey's amended plan for the third tranche of funding, will you commit to working with me and the state to ensure proper contracting procedures are put into place and that the housing application process is as efficient as possible? All of these funds do nothing if at the end of the day it doesn't make its way to affected people.
I agree with you, and as a local official, of course, this has been my concern, ensuring that wherever resources come from, whether local, state, or federal, that the rubber hits the road and that the lives that are meant to be impacted positively are impacted. If confirmed, I certainly will work with you to ensure that we do our best job that HUD does its best job on its end to ensure success.
You know, the subcommittee held a hearing on Section 8 rental assistance voucher reform, and it's an issue priority for affordable housing advocates, public housing authorities, affordable housing developers. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, for example, in my state of New Jersey alone, we have a shortfall of more than 200,000 units affordable and available for most vulnerable, extremely low-income households. And nationally, the shortfall is greater than 7 million. So voucher reform, while some elements of this have been done by the Congress, there's still much work left to be done. Do you consider Section 8 voucher reform legislation to be a priority, and will you work with us to help move the remaining elements of reform?
I appreciate the question. I certainly do understand the importance of looking at reform, and as was mentioned earlier, the significance of this is a line item in HUD's budget, and of course I look forward to getting more up to speed on all the details of what's being proposed. However, if I am confirmed, I certainly will work with you and members of the subcommittee and this committee to do what we can.
I appreciate that. For me, it may be a line item, but this is about millions of people's lives.
Certainly.
And so I may see it a little different than some of my colleagues at the end of the day. From whence I came from and who I represent, I don't look simply at line items. I look at the lives that are affected. And I hope that when you become HUD Secretary, you're going to look at the lives that are affected, not simply the line items.
Of course, Senator, I certainly will. I have done that throughout my time in public service, and as a local official have been primarily concerned with how the residents of my community are impacted by the actions that we take in public service. And So I recognize that overall, we want people to have good housing opportunities. And if I am confirmed, look forward to working with you on that.
I'm sure you will. I just sometimes need to be the countervailing force here on some other.